I know he's planning to join, but we'll get started. So we have a quorum present, so I'll call the October 12th EDA meeting to order. And we'll begin. First off, Bob is recovering from surgery, so he had to join the meeting remotely. And Maudie is Miss Scott is on vacation, so she also is joined the meeting remotely. So we'll do a roll call at this point. Dennis? I don't see him yet, so we'll skip him. Mr. Llewellyn?
Here.
Ms. Bullock?
Here.
Mr. Cardleone?
That's me, here.
Sorry. And Ms. Scott, can we hear you? I assume she can hear us. Can you hear us, Ms. Scott?
Yes, I can.
Okay, we'll take that as a hear. All right. Very good. So, Mr. Llewellyn, would you be kind enough to lead us in an invocation at this time?
I'll be glad to. Let us pray. Gracious Heavenly Father, again, we come before you as we tend to the business of your beautiful county. Lord, we thank you for many mercies and blessings that you give each one of us and this county in a given day. And Lord Jesus, we offer our prayer in your name. Amen.
Amen. All right, let's rise for the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, well, I'd like to welcome everybody here. Thank you for coming. We got some visitors here and excited to hear what you guys have for us today. And Neil's back and has put together a strategic plan, which we'll take a look at. So again, I just appreciate that you're all here. I'm going to try to keep the meeting moving along so we can get out of here quicker than the last one. So first and foremost, is there any communication from any of the citizens that you would like to share? Okay, then we will move to the approval of the minutes. The minutes have been previously emailed. You should all have a copy. If not, there's one right here. I will give you a few minutes to just review those. Okay, is there any corrections that you would like to add to the minutes? Okay. Hearing none, then the minutes stand approved as circulated. And Taylor, are you prepared to give the treasurer's report?
Mr. Chairman, I do not have it in front of me here. If maybe Brenda or Holly could read it out, please.
Sure. Brenda, would you mind reading the?
I apologize for not doing this landscape. You couldn't hardly see it. For the EDA account showing $665,862.43. For the fund, it would be 17,297.75.
Okay.
And I'm going into the last quarter, so you're right about 75% expended.
Okay, is there any questions on the treasurer's report? All right, accept the treasurer's report and it will be filed. Okay, moving to old business and new business at this time. Mr. Poor, would you be ready to share with us your project and what you guys came for?
Absolutely. Holly, is that?
Yes.
So we have,
And to change the slides, you'll just need to here.
usually does.
You can either tab or click there right down here.
Okay. Just,
Yes. Yes.
that's fine. All right, thank you. Thanks for having me. I'm Trip Poor, and here today, we own and operate Diversity Transport. We were actually established this business in 2018. We operate under another name, Diversity Tires. Our focus is predominantly on the transportation of used and waste tires. So I just want to introduce the company to you quickly and get this thing to move.
Yeah, sometimes it's a little finicky. You might just have to use the mouse.
Down at the, oh, Holly, it's, I'm gonna go down, the bar wants to come up. We'll figure this out. Okay, all right, we'll try this again. Not now. Okay. All right, so the owners of our company is my wife, Nicole Poor, myself, Trip Poor, and Dusty Webb. We started in 2018, and we are, again, a waste tire hauler. We are certified with the DEQ. Believe it or not, the DEQ regulates tires and actually the transportation of used tires. So we have been a certified hauler since 2018 when we started. So you have the tire shop, which is where sort of the waste, if you want to call it a waste, is generated. And then you have a disposal facility on the back end, which processes and transform the tires into, you know, a chip or some sort of approved form for disposal. We're in between. We're just hauling those to a disposal facility. Dusty oversees the day-to-day operation. My wife, Nicole, and I are more of the sort of financial, managing the cash flow, payroll, all that good stuff. And we operate, currently we're operating here in the county. We have 3 full-time employees and a couple of part-time employees. And we're covering the territory out to Roanoke, Lynchburg, Fredericksburg. Obviously, the Amelia customers, Powhatan, Central Virginia has been very good to us as well, and Charlottesville. And we've seen a significant amount of growth. And what we found in this business when we started it is that there was a lot of fly-by-night companies doing this type of work. There was companies that business owners couldn't count on, depend on, build a relationship with, and grow to expect a high level of service. People would come in, take tires, and they were doing some shady things with them. So our business with our customers, we set up schedules with them, routines with them, and they've grown to expect a high level of service. As a result of that, we've seen pretty significant growth. This image here, the white is the tires and the green is the revenue. And we've actually seen a 34% annual revenue growth over the last 2 years. And again, our customers expect a high level of service. We perform a high level of service, and word of mouth has spread and we're growing pretty significantly. The issue with this expansion and this growth is the disposal side. So the red bar, the white remains the same, it's number of tires. The red bar represents the disposal cost for getting rid of these tires. When we started off, we were really struggling with disposal. It wasn't a huge cost, but the relationship of quantity of tires to disposal was a big gap between the two. So we've been able to do a lot of things over the last couple of years to manage disposal costs down. And we've actually reduced our per tire cost down by 41% during that time. But there's still an issue. Our disposal cost is going to exceed $105,000 this year. And we're reaching a point where, let's see if we can get this. We're reaching a point with the disposal company we're working with, that we've partnered with. They have kind of placed us on quotas. We can't exceed a certain number of tires disposed of during a monthly period. And I believe that we're going to reach a plateau right around $325,000 in annual revenue. We will not be able to get rid of tires once we hit that mark. So what happens in that case is we get backed up. We can't service the customers to the level that they've expected. And, my concern is that some of those customers may potentially leave if we don't maintain that service level. Now, you might say, hey, Tripp, there's no way that you're going to be able to maintain 34% annual growth. That's what these gold bars are showing, or the yellow bars are showing here. But this is a huge market. And when I look at tire shops in the Richmond area, Charlottesville area, the Lynchburg areas that we're already operating in, we really are a small player in those large markets. Powhatan, Amelia, Blackstone, some of the smaller communities in Southside Virginia, we're pretty much taking all the tires in these areas. But those larger markets, we can get in there and really get a foothold and continue to grow the business with our expansion project. So what is the expansion project? What we're proposing is that we would add tire processing, add a processor to our portfolio and become a processor of tires here in the county. I grew up in the county. Dusty grew up in the county. We want to stay in Amelia County, but we have reached a point where we need to do something different for our business. And adding a tire processor will give us the ability to continue to see growth. Not only could we see growth in our own sort of homegrown business where we're hauling tires, but we could potentially open that up to other businesses like ourselves that would bring their tires to us to process them and dispose of them. That expansion would require a shredder or a chipper. It would require DEQ permitting, site improvements. We're talking to a number of landowners that have the appropriately zoned property to see about a long-term lease with those landowners. We would add trucks, a loader, and some trailers to the equipment list. So let's see.
Do your own disposal too?
So the disposal, the processor would open up doors. So a whole tire today cannot be placed in the landfill. But if you chip that tire, the landfill can use it as an alternative daily cover. So they have requirements to cover disposal material, whatever they're taking in, to cover it under certain guidelines as required by the EPA and DEQ. They can use the chipped tires for that. You can add to these processors. So we're looking at a 2-stage chipper. It would chip the whole tire first, and then it would have some shreds that are approximately 11, 12 inches long. That would feed into a secondary shredder to then have 2 to 4 inch nominal material. You can add a screen, run it through the machine a second time, and there's a lot of different avenues for rubber. After you've shredded it down, you can add magnets, all of those things. We're looking at the 2-stage process right now, just because of the expense of the shredder. And we sort of want to potentially take it in phases.
So you would go directly to disposal.
So we
The
would,
limiting factor you're saying is that.
that's right. We would become a disposer at that point in time. Yes, sir. So this is a screen that you saw earlier. This is the fire disposal cost. And the reason we're here today is we're looking at the Tobacco Commission as a source of funding for this project. And the Tobacco Commission would really help us tremendously based on term of the loan and also interest rate of that loan. With this project, we're not seeking funding for something that we want to step into and we're totally new. We're already incurring the cost. The plan is to redirect this $105,000 a year in disposal, redirect that into an investment of plant and equipment jobs in the community that would allow us to continue to grow this business. The EDA option or the Tobacco Commission option versus a commercial bank, it's significant as far as cash flow for a growing business, a new business, a small business. When you talk about, commercially available loans, 4.5%, terms being fixed at maybe 10 years instead of possibly going to 15, you're talking about somewhere in the neighborhood of $1,000 to $1,300 a month. When we're growing, even over the last 5 months, that growth causes a growth in payroll, equipment repairs. It causes a growth in receivables, which kills you on your cash flow. So having the flexibility that comes from the EDA support through the Tobacco Commission would be huge for us to expand. Again, we're already incurring the expense. This isn't something that, hey, I'm going to go start something brand new that we have knowledge of, but we're not actually in. We're just going to redirect these funds to be able to accommodate a land lease payment and payments on the additional equipment. So I think that I believe I've covered everything. I don't think I looked down at my notes once, but probably we'll see in 10 minutes that I forgot to say something really important. But any questions? I think we've put a lot of time and effort into this. How did I get into this business? I'll share that with you real quick. Ran into someone that I know very well. Her father is in this business and he operates in Prince George. And he wanted to retire. And we talked about buying his business for the better part of about 6 to 8 months. Looked like it was pretty straightforward. At the last minute, he decided not to sell. And Nicole and I looked at it and said, what we were going to pay Bob for his business, we could probably start fresh, put that money aside into the business and get it going. It might take a little time, but I think we can do this. And Bob was telling me, Mr. Cordova was telling me, hey, you don't need my business. I'm going to keep it. You can do it. So I still talk to Bob to this day. But one of the first things I saw when I was looking over Bob's books, he gave me 3 years tax returns. And I looked at Bob and I said, why haven't you bought a processor? Oh my gosh, it's a big undertaking. But you reach a point, and for us, we've been able to reach that point in about 3 years, where you have enough of the volume inside your existing business to justify it. And that's where we are today is, I don't think Bob saw that. He had enough in his business to justify it. But, it requires the management of people. It requires, going after the funding. And it requires a lot of upfront work with permitting and DEQ. I have a pretty good relationship with DEQ, talked to DEQ about this, and we do have an engineering firm that will help us with the permitting process, kind of ready to go as soon as we say we're ready and we've identified a site. Yes, sir.
A couple of questions. In this expansion mode, what do you anticipate your capital investment and do you anticipate any additional, staffing as a result of the capital investment?
So the capital investment would be somewhere around, so around 525 to 600 is kind of the range that I see. And the 600 is a worst case scenario on permitting, site improvements, so there's electrical hookup. So there's some fluff in there. There's some contingency built into that. I see us right out of the gate, just for the operation of the processor at the site, needing to add 3 people to that operation is kind of what I see it right now. But the other thing that I will say is that for the better part of this year, and even last year, when we haven't pursued really growth with our customer base. The growth that we've seen has occurred as a result of word of mouth from other customers. So if we have an avenue, we no longer have this monthly quota, then we can kind of hit the streets and pound the pavement and start drumming up more business. And that's how we were able to get from, $80,000 in revenue in 2018 to $150,000 in 2019. That was just cold calls and pounding the pavement. This occurred based on doing a good job. So there could be some additional folks that need to be added to pick up tires. Very long answer there. Sorry.
So it sounds like you got a location or potential location in the county that meets the zone.
So I've spent a lot of time with Taylor and Holly identifying the appropriate zoning. I have talked to a number of landowners that have that zoning, but we have not identified one specific site. We've got about 4 different sites that I believe the landowners are willing for us to work with them on their sites.
So,
Yeah.
oh, sorry.
Go ahead,
No,
Lance. No, go ahead.
no, you were first.
Yeah. Go ahead. I think I cut Holly off.
It's all right.
Holly off.
I'll wait.
You said the processors are putting a quota on you. Where does that quota come from? Does DEQ mandate that quota?
No, sir. The quota comes from just
Their ability to process?
Their ability to process, their ability to get to us. So we have somewhere in the ballpark of 160 tire shops we work with.
Mhm.
Well, they also do that directly to the customer, but they also have van trailers that they pick up, and they'll have multiple van trailers staged at their facility, and they can't unload us. So we have to coordinate with them and make sure we're coming at an appropriate time, transferring at an appropriate time. So it's their capacity. So they make money off of us, yes, but they make more money when they're handling the tire from the tire shop to the disposal.
Sure question. I got a follow-up question.
So I'm guessing eventually you would accept tires probably from other people too, right? So you'd be a disposal site for other companies like you to bring tires to.
Could be, yes.
And then what do these places look like? I'm just curious.
So I think that today there's only about, there's only 3 of them that I know of that are not a landfill. Okay. And, there's a hodgepodge of different things. Okay. The tire business changes drastically. It's an industrial site. Our plan, in their environment, they have grown too big for their equipment and haven't reinvested. Our plan is to unload directly from a trailer into the processor. They don't have that same plan. So in many cases, there are stockpiles of tires at these facilities. That is not how we want to operate. Now, the permitting would take care of that. So the DEQ asks you what type of piles, tire piles would you have? And you can go through an operations and maintenance procedure, write a book that you have to write, and you have to comply with those rules. So 95% of what we are doing is car and passenger truck tires, and they'll roll right off the trailer or the truck into the grinder on the belt and then out. The plan is that the material coming out will go right into either a dump truck, walk-in floor trailer, or potentially even containers. So our plan is not to have stockpiles. Now, the bringing other tires in, again, is not the number one goal. The number one goal is to support what we have right now and to grow what we have. So I think that, I don't want a place to look bad. Every tire shop in Amelia is a customer of ours except one, and that one looks bad. And I don't want our facility to look that way. I take a lot of pride in what we do. It's a necessary staple of everyone here has 4 of them sitting outside. And it's a necessary part of life. And we have a plan to be an appropriate permitted processor of tires. It's a good question. It is a good question.
Let's go another step further. To get set up, is the local landfill a potential customer?
They are a potential customer.
Okay.
They are. Now, the rates, the tip fees would need to be negotiated. And in full transparency, they are not the most competitive on that price at this point in time.
But you got other possibilities of different uses, industrial uses or whatnot of the end product.
Yes, sir. So we're not basing our financial decision on some revenue stream for the chipped product. There are revenue streams for that product. In some cases, we would need to take it another step, trim it down, process it multiple times, run a magnet over it. So getting set up will allow us to pursue some other options. Yes, but we're not basing our financials on it right now to have any sort of revenue stream on the backside. The current disposal cost and the machines that we're looking at, and even paying a landfill tip fee, the economics still work for this project. So it would be really great if we can find avenues.
So you'd be paying a tipping fee?
Yes, sir.
Because he asked if Maple would be a customer.
So right now we're basing everything on paying a tipping fee. They can use it. They are reluctant to agree to something until you have the product. No one wants to talk to us. I've called companies. Some of these cement companies use it in kilns because of the BTU value. And that's all regulated through the EPA and DEQ, but they don't want to talk to you until you have a product. So they'll buy it for the furnace use. They'll buy it for potentially processing further for mulch and crumb rubber, which is used in a lot of different manufacturing processes, but you get zero information until you can tell them that I'm producing 1,000 tons a year.
What is the zoning required? M1?
Yes. No special exception needed.
Hmm.
No, they don't have to get a special exception. It's by right.
I think y'all asked some really good questions.
So are you planning on Monday through Friday?
Monday through Friday.
One shift a day?
So that's correct. And just to kind of assure everyone, doing the math on the machine's capable of about 8,300 tons a year. Okay, our operation is about 1,000 tons. Okay, so
What does that translate into?
$1.
Tires a day?
tires a day. So it's about, I didn't do that, but just kind of quickly, I mean,
You're doing just under 400 a day now.
we're doing So tires, we're going to be right at 100,000 tires this year. So they're about 20 pounds a tire on average for car and truck light duty. So that's how we get to that 1,000 tons is what we're at. So it would be an eighth of the machine's capacity. So I don't need to operate extended shifts. 7 to 3 is kind of what we work now. I mean, we could double what we're handling ourselves and still operate 7 to 3 and have downtime for maintenance and not be an issue. So the machines are very capable, but they're, costly.
And how loud are they?
Not very, I mean, it's going to be away from residential. I mean, it definitely sounds like a grinder, but it's not a huge noise. I don't think it's loud enough that the employees would need to wear hearing protection. It's not to that level.
Even standing next to it?
That's,
Okay.
if you choose to, but I think from just being in environments where knowing that you got to have like 60 some decibels to have OSHA hearing protection, pretty confident it doesn't get to that level.
And the staff, you're talking 3 full-time employees,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And we would have,
plus
they,
your 2 and your part-timers now, so you're doubling your head count.
I think it's great.
How many acres are you thinking you need?
1.5. Again, it's more for the storage of trailers than tires, because we plan to keep our tires on the trailers until they're rolled off. But thank y'all.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Anybody else?
I could talk tires all day.
Just for the record, I've got a dog food bowl at home made out of recycled tires, and I've had the thing since I bought the dogs, and it's going on 6 years.
And so you're aware also, I mean,
Dishwasher when it's dirty.
I talked about working with tire shops. We've had a number of residents in this community, in our county, that have said, hey, we've got 150 tires in the woods. Will y'all come take care of them for us? Will you come get them? And we do that. That's a service we provide. So we are cleaning up tires. I would say that we've improved the ability. When our customers call, we only have one in the county that wants to call us. The rest of them, we just show up. And when he calls, he gets service within 3 days, and he doesn't have 300-400 tires piling up, because our competition waits a month, before they'll get out there.
So your revenue, does it come from the tire disposal tax?
It comes, no, sir.
How do you gain your revenue to pay for your?
My revenue comes from the disposer of the tires. So that tax goes to the DEQ or the EPA.
Okay.
The tire shop is collecting a disposal fee, and then they pass a portion of that on to us. And those disposal fees are not mandated. It's just whatever they feel. And some people pass through exactly what we charge them. Other people see it. I've had tires put on at Costco and they charge you $12. I know that they don't pay $12 to get rid of the tires. It's a revenue stream for them. But that's where it comes from.
Right. That's what I was wondering. How do you get how do you get paid and who you get paid from?
And that is our source. That's our primary source. DEQ does allow us to cull tires if there's good tires that are used. They do allow us to cull those out and sell them to used tire shops. And that's a very small portion of what we do, but it certainly helps.
So right now, you're selling to this processor who's grinding these tires.
No, they charge us a fee.
Your margins are
Shops
good.
pay them to take the time.
So our margins are good enough to be able to.
If you can scale it, your margins are really good.
Correct. And a processor, if they can get rid of them for no cost other than operating the machine, and if they could potentially find some other revenue stream on the backside, it's huge. It's huge.
So was this informational only, or are you asking for something?
So what I'm asking for is, and I'm new to this, the EDA, the Tobacco Commission. But my understanding is that if the EDA would support us through the Tobacco Commission for funding, it would make the process much more quickly. The approval process would be handled more expeditiously. And that's what we're looking for. So I asked Taylor if, the county would back us through that Tobacco Commission, and I might not be saying the right words.
So you need
So do you need just with,
letters of support, is that what they need?
Or
No, we
has to be the applicant with the tobacco commission.
Is there a
It's
match?
essentially, it's a loan. But if the county applies, it's a far better interest rate than if they were to go to just a local bank and get the loan.
basically, and we have to,
1.6%. Like,
we would, most cases have to like offer this and sort of say that if it goes bad, the EDA would be responsible. So what we had decided to do was have Mr. Poor come in and do a presentation, because you have a few steps that you need to complete before you can officially apply for this, this loan. You have to secure your site and a few other things, I believe. I'm just going off what we had discussed with Taylor. So we thought it'd be good to kind of get the EDA up to speed where he's at. And then when the time comes for us to make a decision whether to support that or not, you would have some more information, and then we could move towards that and vote. That's how you're understanding it too, right?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
It is.
Have you thought about any other grants besides Tobacco Commission?
So I've used the grants out there on some big grant website.
It's all green now.
It sounds great. It's just, where do you go?
That's the thing, is the county is the county gonna be the applicant or co-applicant or,
the EDA is the applicant.
okay, so since that's a government organization, the CRC could help him
Yeah.
for free to find other grants.
I can get you their contact.
Okay.
It's no problem.
I have a question. Where is the closest organization similar to what you're looking at?
So there's one in Appomattox, there's one in Waverly. And they obviously don't know that we want to do this. And,
Until today.
no doubt about it. I'm being very transparent. It looks terrible. The man that runs the thing lives in New Jersey. And I have had the pleasure of somehow getting him on the phone, Mr. Emmanuel. He can't see it from New Jersey. Okay, he is a monster. Everybody knows the man. He's been in this business he told me 80 years. And I laughed and said, oh, good Lord, Mr. Emmanuel. But, he's just bleeding the thing for cash. And he doesn't care how it looks. And apparently the county, Appomattox, but Waverly, is a extremely depressed area. And it's bringing in money for that county, and they leave him alone. But he takes everything. He takes, road tractors full of tires from construction sites. And you go down there and they've got 15 trucks lined up. They could probably process maybe 1,000 tons a day.
It's right there on the east side of 460. If you're going 460 east towards.
It's on the left side.
It's on the left side.
So.
Yeah, I got my director. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been past there.
That's right. After you go through. Now, the one in Appomattox doesn't look as bad as Waverly, but they still have some piles. They chip into a dump truck, they move it over, they stockpile it, and then they load up road tractors with a big loader. And our plan is that, the tires would roll off. We would have some calls that need to go over to a pile. And when I say a pile, onto another trailer that's empty to load up to go to a used tire shop. There's other things that you can do with the large semi truck tires where you cut the sides out of them, sell them to traffic control. So that would go into a different stream, but that's a very small portion of what we do. So No doubt about it. I'm being very transparent. Those places look terrible. They're owned by someone that doesn't live in the community and doesn't care how it looks. I can tell
Well,
you.
I think, you know, if we were to assist you with the EDA process and all of that, I believe we would want to put some guidance together on screening and different things, or look to you to do some sort of a design where, you know, I've known you long, but I know that you're not going to have a junky looking facility, but I think it'd be nice to be able to say, this is how we're going to do it, how it's going to look, so that the community can, because everybody is going to see it. That way, if we have some controls in place, if you will, and we're not talking all kinds of zoning things, but from my perspective, I'd love to see something in writing saying that, you know, there would be a limit to maybe the tires or something like that.
Right.
And again, we want to see you here. It'd just be nice to have something in writing for that.
Absolutely.
Or even possibly maybe some sort of commitment, for lack of a better term. Let's say your machine goes down for 3 days. And I mean, everybody knows supply chain around the world for parts on pretty much anything is slower than molasses in January. But some sort of commitment that, hey, if my machine is down X amount of days, then I'm going to run X amount of shifts of my people to catch up from the backlog that we have. So that doesn't, like you said, sit around.
I don't see it being
I don't either. It's a,
but it'd be, you know, I'm just thinking that 10 years from now, if you sold the business or something, we would want to have something that would prohibit what we see on 360 heading to Midlothian. I would not want to see
Correct.
something like that, just tires everywhere.
And that has not helped me one bit.
Well, I think all of us, I mean, you've done a great presentation. I don't get the sense that you're going to do that. I like the way he said it, a commitment.
Yeah, understood. Understood. Mr. Llewellyn, did you have something else?
Well, I just have to the supervisors. I think there is each county has to report how much recycle you do as a county through some.
I could answer that probably better than anyone.
But anyway, I mean, it may be a plus in the standpoint that we're having a recycling addition to the landfill, or what they may do.
Yeah, it's only recycling if they use it. That's a
Yeah, I
problem.
was just assuming they don't pitch it.
Yeah.
True.
I know the tipping fee is very important to us.
Yes.
Really should hook up with Melody Foster, Commonwealth Regional Council.
I can send in that information. I
All
have
right.
it.
I'll let you head that up.
Yeah, I got it.
Well, again, it's exciting, you know, I mean, because once you're rolling, it sounds like at least 6 employees. That's what we're all here to do. And, you know, let us know if there's anything we can do to support this. And we're excited to go on the journey with you and see if we can be a partner in that.
Thank you. Thank you.
I know it's early in the process, but do y'all have a money figure that you're needing to get for this equipment and set up and things?
Yes, sir. So somewhere around 550 to 600,000.
Okay.
And again, you know, that has some, I think that has the higher end of several things that I'm hoping we could manage down a little bit. David, did you have?
Are you looking at property that's already zoned M1, or is that going to come back, find a piece of property and possibly get it rezoned?
No, I, based on, the zoning piece of it just scares me. So I've been looking at stuff that's already zoned. I think that, you know, having said that, you know, I think there's some areas in the county that we could certainly be out of sight, out of mind. But going through that zoning process doesn't appear to be something that the community has a lot of appreciation for. So
what you're looking at now is mainly on the main support of.
yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right.
Good.
Thank you.
Thanks, Trevor.
I didn't let Dusty talk, but
You did great.
All right. Well, thank you for both of you for coming in. And at this point, we're going to have Neil Barber take us through the plan that he submitted here, the Amelia County Strategic Economic Development Plan Update.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the EDA. It's a pleasure to be back with you again this month. At the end of the discussion of last month's meeting, Taylor asked that if I could put together a quick proposal for an update to the strategic plan, which I sent to him there. Was sort of outlines the process which I would suggest to you, and it has an alternative to it. And if you would like, then I would help work with you to facilitate the meetings there. The process is outlined as either 4 or 5 meetings over a period of 4 to 5 months there at your regular scheduled EDA meetings if you choose, or if you want to choose another time that would be suitable for me too. But the first meeting is really an overview of the economy of the county and how it has changed since the last strategic plan, and sort of a look at what are some of the trends that are impacting the economy of the county moving forward. The second meeting is possibly, if you'd like to do this, would be a tour of some of the neighboring localities, rural localities very similar to you that have had active economic development programs over the years, and sort of gain from their experience and talk to them about what has been successful and what has not been. So that would be a full day they typically start around 8 o'clock in the morning and they get back around 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and I'll try to hit a couple of communities on the way if you'd like to do that. The third meeting, there would be a sort of a discussion of what needs to be updated or changes in your strategic plan. Based upon that meeting, I would come back to you with a draft of the revisions to the your strategic economic development plan at the following meeting. And the following meeting would just go over that and then talk about an action agenda, which would be a sort of a short term, what you want to do in the next year, 2-year timeframe. And then based upon that, again, we would then compile a final report, which would have the finalized, updated strategic plan and your action agenda, which we review at the 5th meeting. And that would sort of be the outline of it. The fee that I suggested to you is roughly $3,000 if you would like to do the abbreviated 4-meeting session. If you'd like to do the tour, it would be about $4,000, an extra $1,000 to that. And then that doesn't include transportation costs if you'd like to get a big van to get down out, or the cost of meals during that tour. So that would be an add-on to that. That's sort of what the proposal is. I'd be glad to take any questions that you may have.
Why Mecklenburg and Halifax?
I'd
just like to know.
Okay, they've had quite a variety of different economic development activities. Both of them have entrepreneurial workforce development. They've had long history of doing industrial park development. They've done it on a regional as well as local basis. They've done shell buildings. So there's a variety of activities that both of those have been engaged in over a period of time. They're relatively close. You can do it for a minute there. But if you would like to go in a different direction, that's fine too. Right now, in terms of South Side communities that are really bustling and have had a lot of success, Danville, Pittsylvania County has been accessible. They've got They've had a lot of announcements and they've been very aggressive in their economic development. That's another option, but I would be glad to, we can talk about where you'd prefer to visit if you'd like to do that.
I think my preference would be to go to the ones that are being successful and doing all the things you said, the entrepreneurial and also the industrial park development is what I would focus on. Certainly hear from the rest of you.
And Mecklenburg's not on an interstate, right? I'm honestly really good at geography.
South Hill is on 85.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just.
Both of them have been really active in grants, getting grants from Go Virginia and
Yeah.
other places.
Right.
Yeah.
They're both hotbeds of activity right now. Or have been.
And,
You do this, so I say we trust you.
Yeah, so I'll just share my thoughts and then let's have some discussion. But I would like to do this and really figure out what we're gonna do, get a good plan and then move forward rather than try to do everything on our own and reinvent the wheel. I think, if we could have Neil come on and particularly what you shared last meeting about how you guys do the land acquisition and that money, really is what drives the EDA to do what you're doing. I mean, that was fascinating to me. And I think that if we were able to do a similar situation here, I know we can't. We have the support from the Board of Supervisors. And if we could implement that strategy, we could have Amelia, like the water tower says, I mean, we could get these businesses in. So I like the idea of doing the work, preparing, planning, looking, and then, get going. We don't want to just do the work of planning and then not do the work. But that's how I'm looking at it and certainly would. Like
the old
have a
saying is you need to plan your work and work your plan.
That's right. That's right.
We certainly don't need to be getting ready to get ready.
Yeah.
And I think the tour would be helpful, at least for me.
Yeah.
Just to see. It helps kind of connect the dots a little bit.
No doubt about it.
Since we've only spent 30% of our budget this year and we should have spent about 75, I think we could probably swing the extra $1,000. My gut.
Yeah.
So. Plus lunch.
Yeah.
That's right.
Okay.
So, so, I'd entertain a motion if unless there's more questions, I don't want to rush anything, but,
So would the motion just be that we move forward with the strategic?
we could,
So I move that we move forward with the strategic planning process.
Second.
okay, well, there's a motion on the floor to hire Neil and to take us through this process on the table. So we will take a vote. All in favor of this motion? Respond by saying aye.
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 Okay, any opposed? Bob, okay, we don't have Bob. So there's no opposed. The ayes have it. Neil, we'll be looking for you to help us go through this process. Excited.
Hopefully see you next Monday.
Yeah, and that was for the whole gamut.
Okay.
$4,000. Great. Well, that's very exciting. So it.
I can just say thank you very much for the opportunity.
Okay, we will move then to the county administrator's report. Taylor, do you have anything that you want to share with us?
No, Mr. Chairman, I don't, except for I'm going to be getting off of this meeting in about 6 minutes for a pre-scheduled conference call with the Virginia Employment Commission. So if you need to go into closed session or something, I think Holly's going to wave at me and I'll unrecord for the time. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Taylor. As far as the closed session, I've asked Neil to maybe talk a little bit more in a closed session. I would like to talk about some land acquisition and things like that. So at this point.
So before we do that, I just wanted to update. Last time we got together, we talked about how we have not done a great job growing up a workforce. And so I talked to the tech center because it was brought up that maybe we could work with them. And they have tried in the last year and a half or so to offer a couple of evening courses for people that have graduated already. And it didn't go over very well. They had 2 people sign up, and then when it came down to paying for it, they had 1 person that paid. And so it wound up just not panning out. That's not to say that it can't, that I just did a little research. I know we talked about the tech center, so I don't know if it's a location, if it was a location issue or if it was just the classes that they were planning to offer. But I just wanted to give an update that I did talk to.
Well, that's unfortunate.
Yeah, but I did also hook them up with the CRC to see if there's any grant out there that could support maybe some classes so that they wouldn't have to charge. I think they were charging like $750, which is probably part of the problem, but
Yeah,
it's a little steep. But
yeah, that is.
just saying, just a little update.
Okay. So we'll need a motion then to go into closed session, so. Anyone? I guess Walt,
I move to do that if we need to.
you second? All right, so then we'll take a vote to we'll just hang on here till Walt leaves.
All right. Taylor, can you, stop the recording? You're still on there.